Hi, so good morning. Nice to see so many of you on a Thursday morning and just for a learning session. So I believe these are more important than the exercise part. Exercise you can do yourself, anybody can make you do. But ये जो sessions हम कर रहे हैं, these are life transforming sessions. So health, when somebody asks me, Manish, what is health? I always used to think about diet and exercise. So this was health for me a few years ago. I never prioritized other aspects, especially rest and sleep. I was a complete go-getter, being born in a like a Marwadi business family. We were like totally go-getters, and जितना ज़्यादा मेहनत करोगे उतना ज़्यादा पाओगे. And one thing I always compromised was sleep. Okay, until unless I got certain health issues, physical health issues, mental health issues, I never prioritized sleep. And now most of us understand this concept of our nervous system. हमने जो सीखा था about autonomic nervous system in the last month. So there are two parts to it. One is sympathetic, one is parasympathetic. Don't worry if you don't understand these things, especially people who have joined new. But हमारे बॉडी में दो सिस्टम्स होता है, एक होता है स्ट्रेस रिस्पॉन्स, एक होता है रिलैक्सेशन रिस्पॉन्स. सो योर हेल्थ, अगर आप हेल्थ की बात करें ना, इट इज जस्ट द डिफरेंस ऑफ नंबर ऑफ रिलैक्सेशन रिस्पॉन्सेज माइनस द नंबर ऑफ स्ट्रेस रिस्पॉन्सेज दैट वी हैव थ्रू आउट द डे. जितना ज्यादा आपका रिलैक्सेशन रिस्पॉन्स होगा उतने आप हेल्दी बनेंगे. दैट डजंट मीन दैट यू स्लीप एंड रेस्ट थ्रू आउट द डे, बट हम सीखेंगे आज कैसे साइकिल्स में वी कैन डू. बट लेट्स टुडे फोकस ऑन द वन ऑफ द मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट पार्ट्स ऑफ द पजल, स्लीप. ओके, तो जैसे मैंने स्लीप के बारे में लास्ट सेशन में पूछा था, व्हाई स्लीप इंपॉर्टेंट, एंड आई गॉट वेरी राइट आंसर्स दैट स्लीप में हीलिंग होती है, देयर इज सर्टेन रिपेयर मैकेनिज्म. तो पीपल हु हैव ज्वाइन न्यू टुडे, इवनीत और सवनीत, आप जो नए ज्वाइन किए हैं, ओके, आई होप आई गॉट द प्रोनाउंसिएशन राइट, इवनीत. ओके, सो आप बताइए ना, भगवान ने स्लीप क्यों बनाया होगा? ऐसे टाइम पास के लिए तो बनाया नहीं होगा, वेस्ट ऑफ टाइम, कि भगवान चाहते हैं कि 1/3 ऑफ अवर लाइफ वी शुड स्लीप. आप क्यों बताएंगे? आई वांट न्यू पीपल टू शेयर, मे बी इवनीत और सबनीत, मुकेश, जिन्होंने शेयर नहीं किया है. आई डोंट वांट हरप्रीत, पूजा टू शेयर. भगवान ने नींद क्यों बनाई है? एनीबडी? एनीबडी वांट्स टू शेयर? न्यू पीपल? नो? अच्छा चलो, ओल्ड, माय रेगुलर स्टूडेंट्स. भगवान ने नींद क्यों बनाई है? या हरप्रीत?
So that we can our cells can rest and recharge themselves.
Okay, so
For healing
rest.
of the body, for the
Sorry?
healing, for healing purpose, so that the body gives.
Yes, Poonam and Pooja, right? Healing. Harpreet is also right, and somebody typed in the chat box to rest. Okay, तो मैं तो एकदम बेसिक सिंपल भाषा में बात करूंगा आपके साथ कि स्लीप क्यों जरूरी है. ओके, नाउ गो बैक few years ago, 100, ज्यादा नहीं, evolution has taken millions of years. Go back a few hundred years ago, what is light? Light था क्या? Tube light was there? It was not there. Okay, so we have been evolved to reduce our activities with sunset. Okay, जब सनसेट हो जाता था तो हम अपना काम कम करके खाना खा के सो जाते थे. दैट वाज प्रायर टू इन्वेंशन ऑफ ट्यूबलाइट, जब ट्यूबलाइट नहीं था. एंड एवरेज लाइफ एक्सपेक्टेंसी वाज बिटवीन 100 एंड 150 ईयर्स. एक इंसान पहले 100 से 150 साल जीता था आराम से. देन दिस ट्यूबलाइट थिंग केम एंड आवर रूटीन्स केप्ट चेंजिंग. ओके, आज हम सीखेंगे कॉन्सेप्ट ऑफ लाइट. तो मैं एक छोटा सा, इट्स नॉट लाइक अ क्लाइमैक्स काइंड ऑफ थिंग कि मैं सब रिवील कर रहा हूँ. बट हम आज, सिंस न्यू पीपल हैव ज्वाइंड, हम सोचते हैं कि हम जो खाना खा रहे हैं या जो थॉट्स थिंक कर रहे हैं वही हम कंज्यूम कर रहे हैं, राइट? तो इफ आई आस्क पीपल व्हाट डू यू कंज्यूम, तो पहले फूड आएगा, वाटर आएगा, एयर आएगा, इंफॉर्मेशन आएगा, डेटा आएगा, न्यूज आएगा, बट वी ऑल्सो कंज्यूम समथिंग कॉल्ड एज लाइट. ओके, तो जैसे खाना हमारा होता है ना, हेल्दी फूड, जंक फूड, इंफॉर्मेशन होता है ना, पॉजिटिव थॉट्स, नेगेटिव थॉट्स, वैसे ही लाइट भी होती है, हेल्दी लाइट एंड अनहेल्दी लाइट, जंक लाइट. सो व्हाट डू यू थिंक, हेल्दी लाइट कौन सा है, अनहेल्दी लाइट कौन सा है? कौन बताएगा? हु विल से व्हाट इज हेल्दी लाइट, व्हाट इज अनहेल्दी लाइट? हेल्दी लाइट क्या हो सकती है हमारे लिए?
It is healthy,
Sunlight.
and blue light
Sunlight.
gadgets is unhealthy.
One at a
Sunrise.
time, Priya. One at a time, Priya.
Yeah, sunlight is healthy,
Okay,
and blue light from the gadgets, from everything is unhealthy.
is junk. Good. Okay, anything else? Anybody has any other views? So she is telling that sunlight or natural light is healthy, and the blue light that comes from devices is unhealthy. 100% right, I would say. But anything more you want to add? Anybody to this? What Priya said? See, we
Sunlight
have
in
a
the nature is healthy, and sunlight in the room is not healthy
why sunlight in the room if sunlight comes to your
because
room?
it comes filtered, like because
Okay,
there are glasses and everything.
okay.
So it's
Yeah, so even if you live in a glass house, the light that comes through that glass, it is filtered. Okay, तो कई बार बोलते हैं ना कि आज आजकल ऑफिसेज जो बनती है, there are a lot of natural light in the offices, it is good for your health. Yeah, but to a certain extent. Okay, so light that you are in directly contact with, that is healthy, that is important. You should be in direct contact. ऐसा नहीं बोल रहा हूँ direct contact with sun. Even if you go in a shadow, अगर आप शेड में भी जाते हैं, तो बेसिकली गोइंग आउट इन नेचर, द वे वी हैव बीन इवॉल्व्ड टू लिव, हम जितना नेचर में रहेंगे उतना हम हेल्दी रहेंगे. हम ये चार दीवारी में रहने के लिए नहीं बने. ओके, स्पेशली मेरे कुछ स्टूडेंट्स हाउस वाइफ भी हैं जो पूरे दिन घर में रहते हैं. उनको लगता है कि घर में रहना इंपॉर्टेंट है. ज्यादा नहीं, 20-20 मिनट दिन में 2-3 बार भी आप अगर नेचर में जाएंगे, कोई गार्डन में, पार्क में, या जहां आप बोलते हैं ना कि नॉट नेसेसरली डायरेक्टली इन कॉन्टेक्ट विद सनलाइट बट जस्ट इन नेचुरल लाइट, दैट विल हेल्प योर हीलिंग. तो ये बात क्लियर है. वी कंज्यूम लाइट ऑल्सो. And but right, Priya very rightly said, the light that is coming out of these devices, this is very unhealthy for us. Because अभी क्या हो रहा है कि जैसे स्लीप का मैकेनिज्म समझ लिया, दैट स्लीप इज द रिपेयर मैकेनिज्म. तो इफ यू आर, अगर आप लेट सोते हैं, रात को 12, 1, 2, 3 बजे लेट सो रहे हैं, देन यू आर नॉट गिविंग योर बॉडी द टाइम टू रिपेयर. हम सोचते हैं कि हम मेहनत कर रहे हैं, हम प्रोडक्टिव बन रहे हैं, हमें पढ़ाई करनी है, खासकर बच्चे जो होते हैं कि हम रात रात भर बैठ के पढ़ाई करेंगे. You are ruining your most important factor, which is health. In fact, if you want to study, sleep from 10 to 2 or 10 to 4. Ideal is 10 to 4 or 5. Get up at 5 a.m. and study. Your brain is more sharper. You are more creative. Okay, let's listen to that afterwards. So I'm just going to start the video. This is by my professor at IIN, and he's a sleep scientist. He's a PhD. English mein hai, don't worry if you don't understand anything. There is something known as captions. Captions मैंने on कर दिया है, so that you can see also. And if you want me to pause somewhere, Manish, replay करो. This thing is fantastic. I want to make notes. Just let me know. Unmute yourself. I will pause also in between. And जैसे मैं pause कर करके हिंदी में समझाऊंगा यहाँ. Whenever I feel this is very relevant, some screenshots also you can take in between. So this is about the science of sleep. He named it the sleep secret. And there are many secrets which will be revealed. As Rimple said, let's go slow. Let's not rush into the science of sleep. Because I took it 4 days to complete this 40-minute video. मुझे 4 दिन लगा था पढ़ाई करने. Let's go slow today. I'm going to start the video now. Just show me a thumbs up, Pooja, when you listen to the sound. Show me a thumbs up. सुनाई दे रहा है आपको अभी? No? Okay. Let me check where I went wrong. अच्छा, share sound was off. Okay. Yeah. Can you look at a guy in front of you with a white hair, gray hair?
You, as exciting and interesting as this is, some of you might find yourself
Just a sec. It will play now.
sort of going to battle with sleep, right? It sort of creeps up. So I'm going to ask you not to do that. Because it's quite possible, in fact, it's frequent that we are, to some degree, awake
जब भी ऐसा फ्रीज हो जाए ना, सर थिंक दैट गॉड वांट यू टू रिफ्लेक्ट ऑन दिस, दैट वी आर इन अ बैटल विद स्लीप. वी फील ना दैट बैटल है स्लीप के साथ. कभी कभी हैंग करता है. मैंने फुल स्क्रीन मोड, आई डोंट नो व्हाई इट इज हैंगिंग
in love
समटाइम.
with sleep. Okay, so just a little more about my background. I am a clinical psychologist, and I had a strong interest in dream psychology, particularly from a depth Jungian perspective for many years. About 10 years into my career, I stumbled upon Canyon Ranch in Arizona and went on there as their sleep specialist. So for the past 30 years, I've been very interested in sleep and dreams. And we see sleeping and dreaming as one of the four cornerstones of health, right, alongside of nutrition and other things that are critical. Okay, so I want to start with the point that sleeping and dreaming is really foremost in the collective unconscious. Many of us have seen these kind of banners around our lives, right? We notice that the things that we love are coupled with, associated with eating and sleeping, right? So we eat, sleep, eat. That's one of my favorite ones. Or we eat, sleep, coffee, eat, sleep, hike, eat, sleep, repeat. Eat, sleep, smoke, which we can do legally in some states now. It goes on and on.
This is just humor is adding to this that we commonly use these two terms and add something with it. So कोई share करना चाहेगा आपका क्या है? Eat, sleep, what is your go-to thing? Just for fun. Just make the session light. Yeah, Harpreet. Eat, sleep, what?
Eat, sleep, learn.
Eat, sleep,
Learn.
learn. That's a very, very, I would say, a kind of politically correct answer. Okay. बहुत rarely मिलता है eat, sleep, learn. Anybody else you want to share their Pooja?
Generally, people for weekends they put eat, sleep, repeat. कि
Eat,
आप
sleep,
वीकेंड में
repeat.
सिर्फ खाएंगे सोएंगे और वही करते रहेंगे लाइक
Okay.
दैट इज अ जनरल टर्मिनोलॉजी यूज
Yeah, so mine was like eat, no sleep, and work. This was me 3 years ago. Rimple is saying yes. Rimple के लिए है what it is eats, no sleep, and जीवन जाच. That is Rimple. So Rimple के मैं बहुत राज खोलूंगा नहीं क्योंकि जीवन जाच से और भी लोग आए हैं यहाँ पर. Just a sec. Yes, sorry for the interruption. So कौन कौन है यहाँ पर who thinks that sleep is a waste of time या sleep तो होना ही नहीं चाहिए? Anybody here still thinks? चलो कोई बोलेगा नहीं, कोई अगर सोचता भी हो तो
नहीं,
यार
काम
अजीत
काम
जी
बहुत है ना, इसके लिए ऐसे लगता है कि अरे सो जाएंगे तो टाइम वेस्ट है। काम
टाइम
कर
वेस्ट
ले,
है,
मतलब
काम
ऐसा
कर ले
इतना
कुछ
काम है।
तभी लगता था टाइम वेस्ट तो नहीं लगता, लेकिन ये लगता था
मतलब
कि ठीक है पहले काम कर लो फिर सो जाएंगे, जितनी देर भी सोने को मिले काफी है, काम ज्यादा जरूरी है।
नीति सिंह की पहले काम कर लो, सोना बाद में देख लेंगे।
हाँ, मेरे
ओके।
लिए सोना और खाना लास्ट आता है।
सोना और खाना भी लास्ट आता है। वेरी रेयर टू
हाँ।
फाइंड दिस काइंड ऑफ पीपल। वरना नॉर्मली खाना खाना पहले आता
खाना
है
खाना होता है इसलिए खाते हैं, नहीं तो खाने में इंटरेस्ट नहीं है, देख खिलाना है
नहीं,
वो इम्पोर्टेंट है, ऐसा हमारी लाइफ होगी।
मुझे ऐसे लगता था कि चलो दोपहर को 2 बजे भी नाश्ता किया तो चलता है। माई फर्स्ट मील इज यूजुअली एट 2 p.m. 3 p.m. एंड आई एम फाइन विद इट।
ओके
टिल द टाइम आई एम वर्किंग आई एम नॉट फीलिंग हंग्री। और जब बैठती हूँ तो फिर शांति से खाती हूँ। आई फील दैट वे कि हाँ सुकून से खाना है बस।
But I would say that is a blessing in disguise. That is the reason you look so young. You don't look your age. So you're
Oh
practicing
please.
something called as intermittent fasting by chance, and that is like the reason for your yeah. But ठीक है, consciously करे तो better रहेगा. Unconsciously करे and don't have guilt. See, first of all ना कोई guilt मत रखिए अपनी life में. आपने अगर लगता है भी ये कुछ गलतियां करी है ना, we all make
यही तो
mistakes in our
प्रॉब्लम है,
life.
खुद को गिल्ट नहीं होता, सामने वाले देते हैं, फैमिली देती है।
No, don't have guilt and ठीक है. They all love
थैंक
you.
यू।
मैं तो बोलता हूँ they love you. They care for you. Okay.
दैट्स ट्रू।
So this was I eat, no sleep, and work. That's it. Nothing else was there in my life. Eating was very healthy, but it was healthy eating. Never and for the last 15, 16 years, it's very healthy eating. But this थोड़ा सा उन्होंने फन खाली ऐड किया कि ये क्या लोग स्लीप का करते हैं. Let's go on it. थोड़ा भी चलेगा fun and then we will come to the science.
Okay. The point I want to make is that even though we see nutrition and we see sleeping as sort of separate disciplines within healthcare, they are in a very essential way, complementary, and in a very essential way, also parallel. And we'll bring that out as we talk today. Okay, here's a brief overview of what we're going to do. I want to point out from the beginning that this is a new frontier, that the interface of sleep dreams, and nutrition is relatively new. The data is sparse but emerging, some of it coming from other arenas. There have been a number of pretty interesting animal studies, a handful now of larger scale studies on humans, but we have a challenge, of course, in generalizing from various populations. So we'll talk about those. I want to basically increase your sensitivity to sleep as a part of the work you do as health coaches, as a part of the work you do in nutrition. I should mention at this point that in a bit of a confession, that I am the son of a Jewish mother. And the reason I mention that is I grew up in a household where there was always too much food. She just produced too much food. And I remember, you know how you have these experiences as a kid, you kind of look at something your parents are doing and you say, you know, I'm not going to do that. I remember thinking to myself, I'll never make too much food. So even after many years of my own psychotherapy, I produced too many slides. I can't seem to get away from that. So I doubt that I'm going to go through everything in a whole lot of detail today. I want to emphasize the sleep piece of this. I assume most of you know more about nutrition than I do. Okay, so big question, do our eating habits impact our sleep and dreams? Yes. And do our sleeping habits impact eating, metabolism, and weight? Yes, we know the answer, and the answer to that is yes, of course. One of the things I'm going to emphasize as I go along, and strongly toward the end of the presentation, is that one of the structural processes in which nutrition and sleep and dreams relate is around rhythmicity. How many of you are curious about how rhythms, circadian rhythms, infradian rhythms, other kinds of rhythms, impact food, eating, nutrition? Great, great. It is of critical importance, and it's an arena where we see overlap, important overlap between sleep and dreams and nutrition. Okay, so back to my Jewish mother. So when I was a little boy, if I happened not to be feeling well, my mother, who was from a little town in south central Poland, from Eastern Europe, my mother would ask me 3 questions. And I gathered over time that this was sort of a local folk medicine assessment. If I wasn't feeling well, she would start with the question, "Did you eat? Did you eat?" Again, true to the stereotype. I want to pause here for a moment and take this notion of eating and expand it. So obviously we're talking about consuming food, consuming fluids, but I'd like us to think of this in a broader sense in terms of everything else we consume. We consume lots of things in addition.
This thing is important, so be attentive here. So he's just making like a fun kind of thing. That बचपन में मैं बीमार था, सबसे पहले मेरी माँ मुझे क्या पूछती थी, तुमने क्या खाया या तुमने कुछ खाया या नहीं. तो he's telling that we not only consume food and fluids, हम खाली जो मुंह से खा रहे हैं वो नहीं खा रहे हैं, और क्या खा रहे हैं ना, this part is very important.
Into food and fluids. And in some literal sense, these are things we absorb into our being. We consume information, don't we? We're doing a lot of that here today, and it seems to me a lot of very good information. We consume information in the form of things that we read, maybe see through the media, in discussions and interactions, and even in life experiences. We're constantly consuming information. We consume food, we consume information. We consume oxygen. We consume oxygen all the time. We're breathing and consuming air, consuming oxygen. And something that very few of us are conscious of, but we consume extensively, and we'll talk a little bit about, is light. We consume light. We absorb light, certainly through special retinal receptors in the back of the eye, but we can also absorb kinds of light through our skin. We are inundated with information, but it's easily argued that a lot of this information, as one of my patients referred to it, is junk, like junk food, junk information. We're exposed to a lot of poor quality information. The people...
Just to divert your attention from sleep. So what do you think? Junk information की क्या बात कर रहे हैं? What can be junk information in today's day and age? क्या हो सकता है? What can be junk information? Anjana aunty, you haven't spoken today.
News.
News.
Negative information. News.
News is 100% negative. Like positive news we rarely get. So that is junk information. Anything else? Junk information क्या हो सकता है? और
जो ये
You people
गॉसिप
maybe
होते हैं,
Kirti.
awful thoughts होते हैं, मनीष.
Gossip, yes. Gossip is junk information. Okay. So backbiting or social media, most of that is also junk. Okay. I want new people to share, maybe Kirti or Savneet, Ivneet. Yeah. क्या हो सकता है जंक इन्फॉर्मेशन?
मुझे
जस्ट
ऐसा लगता है मेरे बच्चे जो
misinformation.
24 घंटे रील्स स्क्रॉल करते रहते हैं वो जंक है।
yes, yes, that is the worst thing we can do for our brain. So just a word of advice that if anybody is used to those YouTube shorts or reels, or I don't know what all names are given now, if you are constantly on that now, your attention span will keep on
Yeah.
reducing. Attention span हमारा कम होते जाता है, and that destroys certain brain cells. Brain में certain neurons होते हैं, there are certain cells in your brain which gets destroyed. आज किसी को अगर 5 मिनट का वीडियो देखने बोल दो, इट्स टू लॉन्ग, 5 minutes, आई नीड 30 seconds में मुझे बता दो सर. Nothing
I
happens
know.
in 30 seconds. Nothing happens in 30 seconds, I'm afraid. So your
There's a
attention
very good
span,
article by Times of India over this.
yeah, many other. But unfortunately, very few implement. And the way social media has been designed, it is designed to make you addictive. Okay, so social media and it's a drug. I just say I learned this from a documentary. I just type in the chat box. So थोड़ा सा हम discussions बीच में ले जाएंगे where I feel important that since few people have joined for the first time, there's a documentary on Netflix. It's called The Social Dilemma. Do watch it. Do show it to your kids. After watching this, I deleted all my social media accounts and 3 साल से बहुत सुखी हूँ मैं. Without my Facebook and Instagram, I'm very happy. Okay. So
अभी
yeah,
मैं
Habib.
यहाँ पे कुछ पूछना चाहूंगी। हमको लगता है कि सोशल मीडिया इज ऑल्सो वेरी इंफॉर्मेटिव। अभी जैसे हम लोग वी आर वर्किंग फॉर जेजे, वी आर प्रमोटिंग जेजे ओवर सोशल मीडिया ऑल्सो, एंड दैट्स वन ऑफ द बेस्ट एंड इजीएस्ट वे फॉर अस। सो उन दोनों चीजों में डिफरेंशिएट करना ज्यादा जरूरी नहीं है कि क्या गलत है आपके लिए और क्या सही है।
यस, तो सी मीन्स व्हाट आई वुड से ना, एक तलवार जैसे सोशल मीडिया. ओके, अगर आप तलवार को सही जगह से पकड़ोगे ना, तो वो काम आ जाएगा आपको अपने आप को बचाने के लिए, या मे बी फॉर सर्टन यूज. एक नाइफ की
गॉट
तरह
इट।
चाकू समझ लीजिए. आप चाकू यूज कर सकते हैं किसी को मारने के लिए भी, चाकू यूज कर सकते हैं सब्जी काटने के लिए भी. डॉक्टर यूज करता है चाकू ऑपरेशन करने के लिए. क्या पर्पस के लिए यूज कर रहे हैं, दैट मैटर्स. बट प्रॉब्लम ईयर क्या है ना, व्हाट्स द प्रॉब्लम? आई गारंटी यू, इफ द यहाँ पर अगर जीवन जांच की सोशल मीडिया टीम है, अगर आप सोशल मीडिया कोई पोस्ट करने जाएंगे, यू कैन नॉट कम आउट ऑफ इट विदाउट लुकिंग एट हु लाइक योर पोस्ट, हु कमेंटेड ऑन योर पोस्ट, कितने आपके फॉलोवर्स हैं, कितने आपके लाइकिंग्स हैं. एंड दैट इज लाइक, दीज आर द मॉडर्न स्ट्रेसर्स, व्हाट आई से. सपोज आई विल नॉट बी एबल टू हियर, ओके, नो प्रॉब्लम. सो अगर सपोज जीवन जांच ने आज कोई वीडियो पोस्ट किया, मोस्ट ऑफ अस और एनी ऑफ मी एस, उस पे आज खाली 5 ही लाइक्स आए, तो इट बिकम्स अ स्ट्रेसर फॉर यू. देन यू गो एंड चेक और क्या हो रहा है, और दिखाया मेरे फ्रेंड ने पोस्ट किया, उसकी फोटो पे 100 लाइक आ गए, गॉन गए काम से. यू गो इनटू डीप डिप्रेशन. These kind of things na is impacting our health in a big way, and you cannot come out of it without looking at other things. जैसे ड्रग कैसे होता है, ड्रग्स कैसे होता है कि एक बार आप लोगे तो आप रोक नहीं सकते. अल्कोहल क्या होता है, एक बार आपको चस्का लग गया तो यू कैन नॉट स्टॉप देयर. प्रॉब्लम विद सोशल मीडिया इज दिस, इट इज डिजाइंड टू बी एडिक्टिव. इट इज डिजाइंड टू बी एडिक्टिव. उसका डिजाइन ऐसा किया बिकॉज व्हाई इज मार्क जुकरबर्ग द richest person in the world, or one of the richest? He's in top 5, I believe. कैसे बना? Has anybody paid for Facebook? I don't think anybody has paid for Facebook here. Why? Because तो who is being sold? किसको बेचा जा रहा है? You are being sold. Your attention span is being sold. They want you to be longer. जितनी देर आप उसके ऐप पे रहेंगे, उसको उतने एडवर्टीजमेंट्स मिलेंगे. तो सोशल मीडिया इज डिजाइन टू बी एडिक्टिव. आई एम श्योर अगर कोई एक बार चला गया, तो 15-20 मिनट हमारा कहाँ निकल जाता है हमें पता ही नहीं चलता. एवरीबडी विल एग्री विद दिस. 15-20 मिनट भी तब व्हेन यू हैव गुड कंट्रोल ओवर योर माइंड. एंड इफ यू डोंट हैव कंट्रोल, घंटे निकल जाएंगे, पूरी रात निकल जाएगी सोशल मीडिया पे, आपको पता भी नहीं चलेगा. अरे 4 घंटे निकल गए, मैं अभी तक यूट्यूब पे क्या कर रही हूँ, अभी 4 घंटे बीत गए, मैं इंस्टाग्राम पे क्या कर रही हूँ, पता भी नहीं चलेगा आपको. This is the problem with social media. I'm not against social media. It is a very useful tool to spread good information. Problem is that there is a lot, their good information is 10%, 90% is all junk there. So अगर आपके बच्चे ये कर रहे हैं, तो we need to find time out. Even I'm struggling with my kids with this thing, mobile phone, and this consciously we are trying to reduce the time spent on social media. So do that, because a lot of information there is junk. It's very important to bring this into your consciousness. Now let's learn about what is junk light. They will teach us about junk light and how that is affecting our sleep.
who use what's called the Buteyko method, which you may or may not be aware of something. It's a model about respiration and health evolved out of the work of a physician in Russia, actually argue that we also overconsume oxygen, that we actually overbreathe. And it's an interesting argument with some interesting repercussions. I want to make the point now that our relationship with the consumption of light is much like our relationship with the consumption of food. We overconsume really poor quality light during the day. One of the most profound changes in human life over the last thousands of years is we've moved indoors. And the artificial light we have today is very poor quality compared to natural light. And simultaneously, we're significantly overexposed to light at night, what's called LAN, light at night.
You can make notes. So there is something called as natural light, something called as artificial light. And just like we overconsume food, except Ivneet, yes, most of us have been habituated to eat 7 times in a day. So similar to food, we are over-consuming artificial light, and especially LAN, light at night, which is the most harmful because आगे बताएंगे क्यों. Let's learn.
Right. So the point I want to make about my mother's question, did you eat, is when we expand this notion of eating, we need to consider everything we consume. And by the way, one of the most common references to human beings today is not as people or individuals or as citizens. One of the most common references to people in the media is we are consumers. We are consumers. And I don't think this is just about our buying automobiles and appliances. There's a sense that our identification is associated with what we consume, with what we take in. All of this consumption of food, light, oxygen, information, all of this, in one sense or another, is transformed into energy. We consume energy. And we are a nation that is addicted to energy. In fact, the notion of energy.
You can make a note this also that everything that we consume is ultimately converted to energy. हम खाना खाते वो carbohydrates it gets हमने सीखा था हमने last session में या last month में everything we consume gets converted to energy. So we are consuming food also, we are consuming information also. So अगर negative information होगी तो stress होता है, there is anxiety, there is depression. अगर अब light का हम समझेंगे, if we consume junk light, artificial light, what kind of energy it is converted to. Okay, clear this concept, everyone? Show me a thumbs up. That everything we consume is converted to energy. So in fact, we are consuming energy.
In many New Age philosophies is associated with divinity. Many of us think of God solely in terms of energy. It's not to argue that it isn't a part of it, but it's interesting to limit our notion of energy to that. So we overconsume all this stuff. We overconsume energy. My mother's next question was, did you poop? Did you poop? You know, one of the great silent epidemics of our time is constipation. Okay. And
this was a big revelation for me. I'm just stopping here. Again, it is slightly out of context related to sleep, but he considers constipation as a silent epidemic. In fact, I'm not judging anyone here who are my students or my patients. Most of whom I meet is suffering from either bloating, acidity, constipation. It's a silent epidemic, he says, that people don't consider this. These are diseases. ये बीमारी है. We should poop 2 times in a day at least. If you're not going twice to poop, there is something seriously wrong with you. You need to understand this. And a small tip I would give to everyone, add more fiber to your diet. If you don't have any serious gastrointestinal issues like IBD, Crohn's or ulcerative colitis, अगर ये सब बीमारी नहीं है आपको, add more fiber to your diet. It will really help you. Drink more water. Consciously थोड़ा पानी ज़्यादा पिए आप. And add more fiber to your diet. Fiber में क्या होता है? Natural fruits and vegetables, salads, fruits. Start your day not with a tea. Start your day. So this is a small tip that I'm giving for constipation, and it will really help you come over that. Okay? And late night eating avoid करिए after 9. That will also help you avoid constipation. That is also a major reason for constipation. So he's considering. तो पहले इन्होंने बताया हम क्या consume करते हैं. Now he's telling about what we are letting go. जो poop मतलब doesn't necessarily mean our potty, it means like what we are not able to let go. इस बारे में समझेंगे हम. It's very interesting this concept. Consumption तो सब सोचते हैं, letting go का कोई नहीं सोचते.
And I think this speaks not only to what's going on physiologically, but what's going on psychologically, what's going on spiritually. There's a kind of holding. This is a question. If the question of did you consume is what kind of energy, how much energy are you admitting into your being, this is a question, a critical question with regard to sleep, about what we're able to let go of. What are we able to surrender? Are we really able to let go? My mother's third question, not surprisingly, was, did you sleep? And not long ago, I mean, she came from an era where indigenously there was just an understanding of how critical sleep was. So all of this consumption of excessive energy, I believe, is a model for understanding chronic inflammation.
So what he's saying that what all things we overconsume, be it food, information, thoughts, either through news, social media, our work, our society, light, everything that we overconsume is a model for understanding chronic inflammation. If you don't know this word inflammation is not just the redness jo hota hai, that is not inflammation. This chronic inflammation is the number one reason for the diseases that happen, especially all the metabolic disorders like diabetes, hypertension, cancer, stress, fatigue. All these are metabolic conditions. Even fatigue is a bimari hai. Fatigue is not something a symptom, it's a disease. Obesity is a disease. Heart disease, cancer, ये जितने भी बीमारियां, metabolic disorders, thyroid, तो आजकल बच्चों में हो रहा है, आजकल इतना डायबिटीज बच्चों में हो रहा है. क्यों हो रहा है? बिकॉज वी आर क्रॉनिकली इन्फ्लेम्ड when we just consume and not able to let go of things because there is no outlet for letting go. कोई आउटलेट ही नहीं, हमने सब आउटलेट बंद कर दिया है. अब सपोज एग्जांपल देता हूं मैं आपको, एक बच्चा वाला एग्जांपल. आप खाली खाएंगे 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 खाएंगे. इफ यू डोंट गो, इफ यू डोंट निकाले, कचरा निकालेंगे नहीं शरीर से, विल यू बी एबल टू लिव? 3-4 दिन कॉन्स्टिपेशन हो गया, 5वें दिन आपका खाने का मन नहीं करेगा. You will feel like hell. My question to you is, are you able to let go of your thoughts? Are you able to let go of your emotions? Are you able to let go? So what is sleep? Sleep is an outlet. All the information that we consume is कहाँ process होता है? Where does it get processed? In the brain. हम जो भी अभी सीख रहे हैं, that is information for you. Where it is getting processed in the brain. And ये processing कब होती है? Who will tell me? ये processing सबसे ज़्यादा कब होती है? When does this happen?
When you rest.
When we rest. Absolutely. And rest time क्या समझते हैं? Waste of time. When we sleep. Yes. तो sleep is, अभी हम सीखेंगे आज वीडियो में. I've just like बोलते हैं ना कि थोड़ा spill the beans, but sleep is a mechanism where most of the information that we consume during the day is processed. तो अगर आप कम सो रहे हैं, आपकी मेमोरी कमजोर हो जाएगी. If you sleep less, your memory will become weak. You are at a higher risk of diseases like Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, cognitive disabilities, जो normally old age में होती है, आजकल youngsters में होने लगी है ये, depression, fatigue, various other conditions which are related to inflammation. तो अगर आपका ESR, CRP high आता है, आपको arthritis है, sleep is a big missing link. If you're not sleeping well, be ready for inflammatory disorders.
The energy literally heats us up, and we'll talk a little more about that. I just had to share this photo I took in IKEA. This is one in southern Arizona. I don't know if you can make it out, but the sign said, well, two things here. One is it's a 50-cent giant hot dog, and of course, you get what you pay for. And I don't know if you can notice the point there. It's not the actual size. But soon it probably will be. Okay, we're in the middle of an energy crisis, and I think there's a really interesting parallel between the energy crises we see globally and global warming, which I think of as chronic inflammation at a planetary level, and what goes on inside of us. We are clearly still part of the Industrial Revolution. We have a tremendous identification with machines. Machines depend to the extreme on energy, and we depend on energy as well. Many of us today, and this is actually a little more true for women than men, will misinterpret being sleepy for being hungry. In fact, women are twice as likely to eat in response to sleepiness as men are. We tend to seek food. We seek food as fuel. It's what I call counterfeit energies in my writing. And
Normally, what happens is this is a very important point. In fact, one of the most important points where I stopped and reflected, because being a health coach, people come to me with fatigue, with tiredness, all these things. That Manish, what should I eat? I'm feeling fatigue. My daughter is not feeling well. उसको थकावट लग रही है. उसको क्या? What's the super food? I said rest. बोले no, you are not understanding my question, Manish. उसको क्या खाना चाहिए जिससे उसको एनर्जी मिले? दिस इज अ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट पॉइंट कि हमें समझना पड़ेगा एनर्जी बॉडी में बनती कहाँ से. ओके, सो लास्ट सेशन में मैंने बताया था, सिंस न्यू पीपल हैव जॉइन, so एनर्जी इज टू एवरीवन. जो एटीपी होता है, दिस इज अ बैटरीज इन अवर बॉडी. ओके, एंड इट डजंट गेट रिचार्ज बाय ओनली फूड, it gets recharged by exercise. So if you have fatigue in your life, start doing some exercises, join our online yoga classes, YouTube पे देख के कर लीजिए, go for a walk, run, swim, play. That will energize you. Exercise does energize your ATPs, your batteries. Food to a certain extent, yes, but overeating in fact depletes it because digestion takes up a lot of energy. And best thing you can do is rest throughout the day, take frequent breaks and sleep. When you are fatigued, it's a sign by the body that I need rest. फटी का मतलब क्या होता है? थकावट. थकावट का ऑपोजिट क्या होता है? आराम. ये बच्चे वाली बात हम समझते नहीं. हम सोचते हैं थकावट है, बोला ना, वुमेन आर ट्वाइस एज मोर लाइकली टू कंसिडर हंग्री. तो वी आर नॉट अवेयर ऑफ आवर सेल्स, हमें क्या चाहिए, एंड वी थिंक कि आई एम हंग्री एंड यू स्टार्ट बिंज ईटिंग, इमोशनल ईटिंग, which again creates a lot of problems. So very important to know this differentiation. When I'm hungry, when I'm sleepy. If it's fatigue, answer is mostly rest, not food. And then what do we do? See.
And these, of course, are high glycemic foods that just sort of thrust our energy upward, and then, of course, it comes bouncing back down. We're also dependent on stimulants. We'll talk a little bit about caffeine as we go along. And we live in a world that has forgotten what rest is.
So true what he's telling, that we live in a world that we have forgotten what rest is. भी रेस्ट की बात करूं तो people start watching cell phones. अरे यार, हमें तो recreation चाहिए, हमारी तो दुनिया है, तुम्हारी लाइफ तो इजी है, मैं तो पूरे दिन किचन. मेरी वाइफ मुझे बोलती है, अभी है नहीं तो मैं बोल सकता हूँ. आई होप शी इज नॉट सीइंग द रिकॉर्डिंग ऑल्सो, वरना मेरी क्लास लग जाएगी आज. अरे यार, आपको तो समय मिल जाता है, मैं तो पूरे दिन काम करती हूँ, बच्चों को देखती हूँ, मुझे तो रात को 11 बजे समय मिलता है एंटरटेनमेंट के लिए, मुझे तो रात को 11 बजे समय मिलता है सोशल मीडिया के लिए. We have forgotten what rest is. What's the purpose of rest? What's the purpose of sleep? What's the purpose of your bed? Your bedroom is not for entertainment. It is for sleeping. देखिए आगे क्या बोलते हैं, रिलेशनशिप विद रेस्ट, वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. जैसे हमारे रिलेशनशिप्स होते हैं, सो आई वुड से बिल्ड योर रिलेशनशिप विद रेस्ट, वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. उसके साथ भी एक रिश्ता बनाइए आप. जैसे हमारे रिश्ते होते हैं ना, some of your mother, some of your children, siblings, relationship with food. They say build your relationship with rest. Define what rest means to you. What is rest? Is it recreation? Is it dancing? No, that is not rest. That is recreation. Understand the difference between rest and recreation, rest and entertainment, rest and pleasure. These are different things.
In our world, most people confuse rest with recreation.
See, he's saying the same thing. मैंने उनसे ही सीखा. We confused rest with recreation. Reading a book is not rest. Listening to music is not rest. Again, your brain processes information. See, many will argue now. Many argue with me. Manish, यार, reading में तो मैं rest कर रहा हूँ. Your brain is processing information again. Music में your senses are active. What is rest? When you are consciously giving rest to your sense organs, giving consciously rest to your organs of action, giving conscious rest to your mind. जो हम एकादशी में सीखते हैं ना, 11 चीजें हम सीखते हैं जो कॉन्शियसली हमें, the activities we have to bring down. So it's your 5 sense organs, 5 organs of action and mind. उससे हमें ये करना है, वी हैव टू लाइक reduce उसका जो यूज कर रहे हैं हम, वी हैव टू reduce that. That is rest. Very important to understand this if you want to lead a healthy life. In our world, most people confuse rest with recreation.
Recreation is great, but going to the movies, going on a hike, going bowling, reading a book, playing golf, whatever, is recreation. It's not rest. It may be a respite from an activity, but it's not true rest. We also live in a world where we confuse rest with inebriation. A lot of people think that getting rest is having a drink or two or three or smoking a joint. Whatever your feelings are about that, fine. It's just important to understand that it's not rest. We are literally restless.
Not my students, but others. How many of you agree that we are the most restless generation ever? Hmm? I think most of the hands are up. Jiske cameras on, I can see. We are the most restless generation ever. We are on a race to achieve something in life. कि कुछ तो छूट रहा है. That FOMO generation, I would say. This generation is a FOMO generation, that fear of missing out. That we live in a world where we consider going slow तो पीछे रह जाओगे, आगे भागो. We are running always. If we are conditioned to run, we are conditioning our children to run. भागो 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 वरना पड़ोसी का बच्चा आगे निकल जाएगा, भागो वरना तुम्हारे फ्रेंड्स आगे निकल जाएंगे, भागो वरना कुछ छूट जाएगा. एंड क्या होता है, भाग भाग के क्रॉनिक इन्फ्लेमेशन, कंपटीशन. We have forgotten there is something called as cooperation. हम कंपटीशन सिखाते हैं खुद को, अपने आप को, अपने बच्चों को, अपने. We have forgotten that we are interdependent beings. We feel that we are selfish beings. मैं बोलता हूँ ना, we are very selfish beings. We all think that दूसरा आगे निकल गया तो मैं पीछे रह जाऊंगा. We don't. We have forgotten that essential life skill of mudita, being happy in the success of others. कि अगर मेरा भाई मुझसे आज आगे बढ़ गया तो भाई भाई में जेलसी हो जाती है. We should be happy for our brother. Why not? Why can't we do that? That will initiate a relaxation response in your body. If you are jealous of others, that will initiate a stress response in your body. These things are affecting our health these days. These are the modern stressors, I would say. Competition, running around. We are the most restless ever. It's a big revelation for me also. The way I treat my students, patients, they are always fidgeting with their gadgets, fidgeting with anything. लगता है हम पीछे छूट जाएंगे अगर हम रेस्ट कर रहे हैं तो. It's a waste of time. No, it's not a waste of time.
Okay, this is a very important notion. All of this excessive energy we consume keeps us hyped.
Sorry to stop again. This is a very important line. All the excessive energy that we consume keeps us hyped. सबसे बड़ी प्रॉब्लम मेरे पास लोग आते हैं, मुझे नींद क्यों नहीं आती, मेरा माइंड ओवर एक्टिव क्यों है. दिस इज द रीजन. I'm afraid few of my students are absent. It's the most important session that I'm taking, and I don't know why they're absent today. Please consider these sessions as more important than exercises, I would say. Exercise तो कहीं भी आप कर लेंगे, खुद भी कर लेंगे. ये जो एक्सेसिव एनर्जी हम कंज्यूम कर रहे हैं, बीट इन द फॉर्म ऑफ फूड, इंफॉर्मेशन, लाइट, ऑक्सीजन, वॉट एवर ज्यादा हम कंज्यूम कर रहे हैं, कीप्स अस हाइप्ड, कीप्स अस ओवर एक्टिव. क्यों हम बोलते हैं कि शाम के बाद आप ऑफिस का काम मत करिए, मेल्स मत देखिए, मीटिंग्स मत करिए, डांस मत करिए, एक्सरसाइज मत करिए? बिकॉज यू आर कंज्यूमिंग थिंग्स. कैसे आपको सोने देगा वो? कुछ नहीं छूट रहा है. व्हाट इज मेंट फॉर यू विल कम टू यू. व्हाई कांट वी हैव दिस फेथ? Why can't we have this faith that whatever is meant for me will come to me? What's the point of earning? What's the point of toiling so much if you're not able to get a good night's rest? What's the point of earning money? क्या हम इसलिए कमा रहे हैं आगे हम डॉक्टर को जाके दें, कि हम हॉस्पिटल में अपना समय बिताए, हमारा बुढ़ापा हॉस्पिटल में बीते? There are people in their Japan. अभी अंजना आंटी आई थी. People in their 90s, they travel on their own in Japan. They are so healthy. ऐसा नहीं है कि we are meant to get ill. Diabetes is not normal. Hypertension is not normal. These things are not the new normals. You are not meant to suffer in life. Have this faith कि whatever is meant for me will come to me. मेरे पास आ जाएगा. Reduce your activity, reduce the information you are consuming, reduce the amount of things that are going into your body, because that is making you ill. हमें लगता है कि आई एम एन ओवर अचीवर, दैट इज स्पॉइलिंग योर हेल्थ, दैट इज ruining your health. So all this excessive energy that we consume keeps us hyped.
My son was telling me a story about his daughter, my granddaughter, the other day. Gabriella is 3, and he heard her calling to him from her bedroom, and he came running back. And she had done a funny thing. She was standing on her bed, and she had climbed up a bookshelf behind the bed, so she was 2 or 3 feet above her bed, and scared to death. And he said, Gabi, why did you climb up there? She explained to him that she was sitting on her bed and she was afraid that she might fall off. So she climbed up. And I thought, my God, this is what's going on in our world today. We try to get higher and higher, not in a sense of being stoned or drunk, but we try to up our energy. We go higher and higher. There's a great reluctance to let go, to go down. You know, when we land into sleep, it's much like when a jet lands. Jets fly above the weather, and when they land, they go through a layer of turbulence. Whether you're landing into a midday nap or landing at night, so many of us, when we hit the updrafts of unresolved feelings and emotions during the day, we get a little shaken, we go back up. We just go back up. We go back up into our thoughts and into our energy.
समझा किसी को? anybody wants to explain अभी क्या हमने सीखा? Very important point. This is one of the most important points of the entire session, I would say. देखिए, मैं बताता हूँ. Throughout the day when we are working, we are going through a lot of emotions, a lot of turbulences, happiness, sadness, किसी ने कुछ बोल दिया, काम का स्ट्रेसर आता है, फाइनेंसेस के स्ट्रेसेस आते हैं, मे बी सम जॉय, नॉट ओनली स्ट्रेसेस, मे बी सम जॉय. वी आर थ्रू दिस वेव्स ऑफ इमोशंस थ्रू आउट द डे. उन्होंने कंपेयर किया उसको एक फ्लाइट से, जेट से, एरोप्लेन से. जब एरोप्लेन लैंड करता है, आप नोटिस करते हैं जब अलग अलग लेयर्स आते हैं जो एटमॉस्फेयर के, देयर इज स्लाइट टर्बुलेंस, देयर इज स्लाइट टर्बुलेंस. तो वैसे ही है जब हम सोने जाते हैं रात को. ओके, इफ योर माइंड इज फुल ऑफ इमोशंस, if your mind is full of thoughts, feelings, if you don't let, if there is no outlet for that, हम और हाइपर अराउजल हो जाते हैं. we go into a state जो हम सीखेंगे आगे, called as hyper arousal, because you are meant to rest at that time, but your mind is so overactive because we are not letting it settle down. These gadgets, क्यों मैं मना करता हूँ 8 बजे फोन बंद कर दो? नहीं, हमें तो काम करना है यार, हमें तो यार हमारे ऑर्गेनाइजेशन को आगे ले जाना है. अरे यार मैं पीछे रह जाऊंगा, अरे यार मुझे, मैं सोशलाइज कब करूं, मेरे फ्रेंड्स, मेरी सोसाइटी, जीवन जांच, टीहा, कब कब करेंगे यार, कब समय इसके लिए? I could go hell with Tiha, go hell with everyone. My health matters to me the most. I've reduced my activities after 8 and my sleep quality has improved drastically. My creativity, my work during the day. In fact, I'm able to do more in my waking hours. It's all about productivity, how productive you are. तो जैसे एक जेट लैंड करता है, कैसे टर्बुलेंस होता है, वी गो थ्रू द सेम टर्बुलेंस व्हेन वी शिफ्ट फ्रॉम वेकिंग स्टेट टू स्लीप स्टेट. जब हम जगे हुए हैं, हम सोने के लिए जा रहे हैं, उस समय सर्टेन टर्बुलेंसेस अगर होंगे, यू वोंट बी एबल टू स्लीप. उसके लिए क्या करना है? हम क्यों सिखाते हैं आपको 10 पॉजिटिव पॉइंट्स करो? क्यों बोलते हैं? दैट इज अ आउटलेट. Why do I say do journaling, do reflection? That is an outlet for your emotions. That whatever you're going through, bring it down on a piece of a paper. This is where yoga comes into picture. उन्होंने ये बात नहीं बताई, उन्होंने प्रॉब्लम बता दी, सॉल्यूशन नहीं बताया. What is the outlet? ये जो हम प्रैक्टिसेस करते हैं, मेडिटेशन, प्राणायाम, ब्रीदिंग एक्सरसाइजेस, क्यों बोलता हूं मैं सोने के पहले प्राणायाम नंबर 4 करो आप. दैट विल एक्टिवेट योर पैरासिम्पैथेटिक नर्वस सिस्टम. आई एम सॉरी न्यू स्टूडेंट्स, न्यू जो नहीं, उनको समझ नहीं रहा होगा क्या बोल रहा हूं मैं, बट दिस इज फॉर माय स्टूडेंट्स. हम जो सीखते हैं प्रैक्टिसेस, दीज आर साइंटिफिक प्रैक्टिसेस, कि जो टर्बुलेंस आप गो थ्रू करेंगे, दैट विल बी लेस और दैट विल बिकम नॉन एग्जिस्टेंट आफ्टर सर्टेन टाइम. क्यों मैं बोलता है अफर्मेशंस करो सोने के पहले, क्यों ग्रेटिट्यूड करो उठने के बाद? Turbulence will be less in your life if you do these practices. Please don't feel guilt if you're on your phone still till 10 11. Don't feel guilt. हमें पता नहीं था ये चीज क्या होता है, ये डिफरेंट स्टेट्स क्या होते हैं हमारे बॉडी में, व्हाट वी गो थ्रू. बहुत अच्छा एग्जांपल है, याद रखिएगा. फ्लाइट में ट्रैवल करते हैं, फ्लाइट लैंड करता है, टर्बुलेंस होता है ना. वी हैव टू अवॉइड द टर्बुलेंस इन शिफ्टिंग स्टेट्स फ्रॉम वेकिंग स्टेट टू स्लीपिंग स्टेट. वो टर्बुलेंस हमें बचना है. एंड कैसे बचना है, हम क्लासेस में डेली सीखते हैं, हम कुछ ना कुछ हम डेली सीखते हैं, दैट हाउ डू वी अवॉइड द टर्बुलेंस.
Energy. So hyperarousal, this is a concept that's been excessively studied and it's strongly linked with insomnia and with sleeplessness. It's associated with
You can take a photograph of this if you want. This is about hyper arousal जो मैं बोल रहा था मैं, that we are always in a aroused state. Okay, anybody can take a screenshot and later on share in the group also, that's fine. And those who are not members of the group, they can take a photograph. तो क्या होता है when we have insomnia, जब हम सालों तक सोते नहीं है, कई दिन सोते नहीं है, what happens? There is increase in body and brain metabolic rates, elevated heart rates, elevated body temperature, काफी कुछ होता है. These are technical terms you don't need to know, but ये समझ जाइए it creates havoc in your body. If you don't sleep on time, if you are awake till 3 at midnight, yeah, 3 in the morning bolunga, not midnight. That's my waking up time. Okay. So if you are awake till late in the night, a lot of havoc happens in your body. टेक्निकल चीजें डोंट वरी, बट ये समझ जाइए कि कुछ तो गड़बड़ हो जाता है अंदर. बहुत कुछ कुछ नहीं, बहुत कुछ गड़बड़ हो जाता है अगर आप लेट नाइट तक काम करते हैं, मोबाइल में रहते हैं, हाइपर अराउजल स्टेट में रहते हैं, जो हमने सीखा. इट क्रिएट्स हैवक.
increased body and brain metabolic rates around the clock. So even resting metabolism is not as low as it normally should be. Elevated heart rates, very critically, elevated core body temperature. We are literally overheated. We consume excessive amounts of energy. That energy literally heats us up. And when you look at temperature rhythms in the body, they normally go down during sleep and come up during the day. People who don't sleep well have an elevated mesor, an elevated average body temperature. They're just not as cool as people who sleep well. Yeah, sorry. Okay, increased high frequency EEG. Beta EEG is characterized with waking. There's quite a range, and people tend to run at the high end of that. Elevated nighttime cortisol, which you're probably familiar with. This is a reflection of a dysrhythmia in cortisol. Decrease in serum melatonin. We will talk a little about melatonin. Increased nocturnal sympathetic nervous system activation, and overactivation of the hypothalamic pituitary axis. All of this basically means people who don't sleep well are excessively energized at night. Energy is great during the day. We need to be willing. We need to know how to release it at night. We need to know how to cut power. We need to hit the brakes before the car is actually in the garage. We need to know how to slow down. Okay, so a quick crash.
It's an important point that we need to apply the brakes before the car goes into the garage. Such an important point. Don't wait for that wake up call. अरे मुझे क्या हो सकता है, अरे बीमारी बोल के नहीं आती है. ओके. सो अगर आप हाइपर अराउजल स्टेट में हैं, तो डोंट टेक दिस एज अ मैटर ऑफ प्राइड. आई वर्क 16 hours in a day. Some of the politicians, they sleep only 4 hours, work for 20 hours. You are not meant to work 20 hours in a day. Machine will crash someday. If somebody, बोलते हैं ना, कोई बच के निकल गया, वो अलग बात है. But most of us crash and we'll end up in a hospital or with a chronic inflammation, chronic disease. So this है कि लोग जो जो मतलब sleep disorder.
मनीष हैंग हो गया क्या?
Sorry, it got disconnected. Okay. Any questions anybody has till now? Any questions? Yeah. Any sharing anybody wants to do? Okay, wow. ये बात तो मैंने सोची नहीं थी. Yeah, Deepika Bhavi, anything you want to ask? No? Am I audible, by the way? Am I audible?
Yeah, you're audible. I have a question regarding sleep.
Mm-hmm.
I see my children, they are sleeping a lot nowadays. Is it because of summers? मतलब पिछले कुछ टाइम से मैं नोटिस कर रही हूँ कि अगर बच्चे 8 घंटे सोते हैं, एज वी यूजुअली से कि 6 से 8 घंटे इज मोर देन एनफ फॉर अ स्लीप, But at times I feel they're sleeping for 12 hours. If I'm not forcing them to wake up, they're not getting up. And as summer vacations are going on, they don't have any this thing, कोई ज्यादा काम भी नहीं है, स्टडीज का वो भी नहीं है, तो भी 12 12 घंटे सोना is not a good sign. That's what I feel.
That's the other end of the spectrum. I would say that's the other end of the spectrum where people or students, they don't have any like things to do. How old are your children? How old? जो 12
One
घंटे
is
सोते हैं?
17, one is 21.
Okay, so पहले तो बच्चा बोलना बंद करिए उनको, बच्चे नहीं है. Okay, grown up. One is like a grown up adult, another is adult बोलूंगा मैं.
True.
Now they are adults. To see two things here, since it's very wrong to comment on anyone without knowing the history. It can be पहली बात तो सोने का टाइमिंग क्या है वो भी मैटर करता है. If they sleep very late, one this thing is very important. Good question, in fact, I would say very good question. If you sleep at 2 in the night, then that excessive sleep is because of fatigue. Okay, I'm just assuming. कितने बजे सोते हैं एवरेज वो, if you don't mind
हाँ
sharing
जी,
मुझे अपने साथ.
I told you last night.
Okay,
देर से सोते
so
हैं यार.
तो मेरा अगर वेकिंग टाइम उनका स्लीपिंग टाइम है ना, तो यू आर बाउंड टू स्लीप बिकॉज दिस थिंग इज ओवर एक्टिव. This thing is overactive. And don't confuse the sleep timing. If you sleep, ऐसा नहीं 8 से 10 घंटा नींद हमारे लिए अच्छी है तो आप दिन में सो जाओ रात को जगो. नो, सी देर आर रिदम्स. चलो आज नए लोग आए, मैं आई जस्ट चेंज द टॉपिक नाउ एंड हम आगे करेंगे. या मैं आपको इंपॉर्टेंट पार्ट्स बता दूंगा वीडियो के, खाली मैंने जो नोट्स बनाए ना, सो दैट इफ समबडी इज नॉट प्रेजेंट इन द नेक्स्ट सेशन तो कोई मिस नहीं करे. सो इवनी जी, मैं बोलना चाहूंगा हमारे शरीर में कोई रिदम्स होते हैं. ओके, एंड ये और नेचर में भी कुछ रिदम्स होते हैं. Okay, the more our biological rhythms are in alignment with rhythms of the nature, the more likely you are uh, uh, likely to stay healthy, I would say.
Okay.
Okay, so what do you think भगवान ने अंधेरा क्यों बनाया होगा?
रेस्ट करने के लिए, सब
रेस्ट करने
कुछ
के लिए.
बंद
सिंपल है
करने
ना,
के लिए.
सब कुछ बंद करने, रेस्ट करने के लिए. Now suppose anybody, you know, your kids are, they are awake till 3 at night. Okay, so are there rhythms in alignment with rhythms of the nature?
No.
And you also said that your daughter is feeling fatigue. ओके,
Right.
सो 8 10 घंटा 12 घंटे सोने के बाद भी अगर फटीग लगता है, क्या लगता है? इज देयर अ प्रॉब्लम और इज देयर एनी प्रॉब्लम?
I mean, they themselves are problem. I usually say them.
नो, their routines are the problem, they are not the problem, their routines are the problem. So what you sleep now, the sleep का समझिए कॉन्सेप्ट ये. अगर आप 10 से 6 बजे तक सोते हैं, 8 घंटा सोना हो गया. अगर आप सुबह 4 से लेके 12 बजे तक सोते हैं, वो भी 8 घंटा हो गया. बोथ आर नॉट द सेम, दोनों सेम नहीं है. That 8 hours of sleep which you get from 10 to 6 क्यों? Now the logic. मैं आई जस्ट फिल द बीन्स एवरीथिंग बिकॉज 40 मिनट का वीडियो, वरना अपने को भी 4 सेशन लग जाएगा. देयर इज समथिंग कॉल्ड एज मेलेटोनिन. मैं ग्रुप में टाइप कर रहा हूँ चैट बॉक्स में, मेलेटोनिन, बिकॉज आई हैव गॉन थ्रू दिस वीडियो मल्टीपल टाइम्स. So this is the sleep hormone. Okay, ये कब प्रोड्यूस होता है? मॉर्निंग में होता है. पहला तो किससे होता है? सनलाइट से होता है. Why I tell my students take sunlight in the morning or go out in the nature. अगर आपको sunlight intolerance है, at least go out in the nature in the morning for 20 30 minutes. That secretes the production of melatonin in your body. And when it is at the highest, between 9 p.m. and 11 p.m. It is at the highest. This is about people in India. Because इंडिया में नॉर्मली सनसेट हो जाता है 5 से 7 के बीच में. आप कहीं भी इंडिया में हो, 5 से 7 के बीच में सनसेट हो जाता है. अगर ईस्टर्न पार्ट में है तो 5 बजे, वेस्ट में है तो 7 बजे सनसेट हो गया. एंड 2 to 3 hours after that, melatonin is at the highest. Your body is signaling you sleep, shut down, बंद करो एक्टिविटीज. पर हमें 3 बजे तक जगना है. हम सोचते हैं 4 बजे सो के, अरे मैं तो 8 घंटा सो गया, मेरा स्लीप कोटा पूरा हो गया. हीलिंग हैपेंस बिटवीन 10 p.m. and 2 a.m. A lot of repair जो information brain process करता है, that happens only in this 4 to 5 hours. That's it. 10 p.m. and 2 a.m. 3 a.m. उस समय अगर आप जगे हुए रहेंगे, guaranteed you will feel fatigue, you will feel drowsy. So इवनी जी, वो sleep नहीं है, that is drowsiness. That is laziness, I would say, drowsiness. So don't confuse sleep. See, these are very important, small difference terms we should know. What is sleepiness, what is drowsiness, what is fatigue, what is tiredness? All these are different terms. They may sound overlapping, but these are different terms. You need to understand the difference, that they are like हाइपर अराउजल स्टेट में है, जिसकी वजह से उनको एनर्जी नहीं है कि दे गेट आउट ऑफ बेड एंड डू समथिंग इन लाइफ. दैट्स व्हाई आई से दिस चिल्ड्रन ऑफ टुडे, मैंने कल रिम्पल को बोला ना, दे नीड गाइडेंस. What's their purpose of life? They have forgotten that they are students. What's their purpose as a student? They are a child. What's their purpose as a child? वो सब कोई सोचता ही नहीं है, तो लाइफ में कोई मोटिवेशन ही नहीं है टू गेट आउट ऑफ द बेड, एंड दे आर जस्ट ऑन देयर फोन स्क्रोलिंग टिल लेट इन द नाइट. दिन में सोते हैं, पूरी रात वीडियो गेम खेलेंगे, पूरी रात स्क्रोलिंग करेंगे, पूरी रात फ्रेंड से चैटिंग करेंगे, ऑल द रॉन्ग थिंग्स द चिल्ड्रन डू टुडे. एंड दिन में फिर वो सोते हैं. व्हाई? बिकॉज देयर ब्रेन इज टायर्ड. दे आर इनटू क्रॉनिक फटीग सिंड्रोम. We need to understand they are
uh,
chronically fatigued. They are chronically fatigued. अच्छा खाना नहीं खाएंगे, सही चीज कंज्यूम नहीं करेंगे ना, यू विल फील फटीग एंड यू विल फील ड्राउजी थ्रू आउट द डे. इनफैक्ट उठने के बाद भी उनको वीकनेस लगेगा. दे विल नॉट फील एनर्जेटिक. दे डोंट नो व्हाट इट इज मेंट टू थ्राइव इन लाइफ. उनको पता ही नहीं है यार कि इंसान किस चीज के लिए बना है. एक इंसान अपने आज व्हाट इज द डिफरेंस बिटवीन लाइक आई एम नॉट लाइक जजिंग एनीवन, बट अंडर अचीवर्स एंड ओवर अचीवर्स. तो ओवर अचीवर्स, द विराट कोहलीज ऑफ द वर्ल्ड, और द सचिन तेंदुलकर ऑफ द वर्ल्ड, और द नरेंद्र मोदीज ऑफ द वर्ल्ड, दे नो हाउ टू यूज देयर एनर्जी. They know how to operate this machine at its peak. They have learned certain techniques, certain morning routines, certain evening routines. There are certain outlets for junk energy, that is outlet for everything. They have understood this fact and see how they become the best. It's not a special skill set that I have. I was very average 10, 15 years ago. People in my family, my sister is here, my bhabi is here, they know that Manish is not the Manish we are seeing now. He's so changed, he's so different. I was not this. But why does this happen? I've just learned how to manage my energy more efficiently. That's it. And I'm still learning. It's not that I'm perfect. I'm still work in progress. And this can happen with anyone. And especially kids need to learn this thing. ये चीज जो हम सीख रहे हैं आज. They consume all the junk in the world. कहाँ से एनर्जी आएगी? फटीक तो होगा, 10-12 घंटे तो सोएंगे वो. उनमें एनर्जी ही नहीं है. They eat at the wrong times, eat the wrong quantity, eat the wrong food, consume the wrong information, so much of social media influence, so much of peer influence. सोएंगे क्या करेंगे? वो कहाँ वो अपना आउटलेट, उनको आउटलेट ही नहीं है कुछ. देयर इज नो आउटलेट एंड दे कंसिडर sleep as an outlet, and they sleep at the wrong time. It makes things worse because you are meant to wake up with the sun, you are meant to move. एक्सरसाइज नहीं है तो एनर्जी नहीं है. जैसे मैंने बोला ना, एटीपी खाली खाने से नहीं आता है, एक्सरसाइज से भी आता है. किड्स डोंट गो आउट इन द सन, कहाँ से एनर्जी मिलेगी? दे डोंट एक्सरसाइज, कहाँ से एनर्जी मिलेगी? तो एंकरेज योर किड्स. बोलते हैं ना, जितना जरूरी स्टडीज है उससे ज्यादा जरूरी हेल्थ का ध्यान रखना है. क्या फायदा स्टडीज क्यों करते हैं? मे बी उनको अच्छा जॉब मिल जाए, वो अच्छा बिजनेस करे, पैसा कमाने लगे. क्या फायदा वो पैसा का, अगर सारा पैसा हम जाके डॉक्टरों का घर भरे एंड वी जस्ट सफर ऑल ओवर लाइफ. So this is the answer, Priya ji, sorry, Evneet, that
right.
why your kids are maybe oversleeping, but it's wrong to like comment on them. But this is in general I'm talking about why kids oversleep. It's because of their rhythms, their bodily rhythms are completely out of sync with the rhythms of the nature. This is the answer to it. Yeah. So I'll just quickly share the word. मैं word file share करता हूँ, otherwise बहुत लंबा हो जाएगा सेशन ये. मैं मेन पॉइंट्स जो कवर करना चाहता हूँ इस प्रेजेंटेशन से. So I normally make a lot of notes because I like to revise a lot. मैं जैसे स्कूल में पढ़ाई कर रहा था वैसे ही पढ़ाई कर रहा हूँ. It's not like मुझे खाली कंप्लीट करने के लिए कंप्लीट करना है. Okay. So I'm going to share the notes now. तो जो जो important points थे सारे कवर हो जाएंगे. You won't miss anything. My daughter says sometimes, Dad, what motivates you यार, इतना आप इतना सीरियसली ले रहे हो अपनी पढ़ाई को यार, आपको कौन सा. Like this is for my own self I'm doing it, nothing else. Yeah. So we consume light, जो मैंने येलो में मार्क किया, these are the important points. Hyper arousal जो हमने देखा अभी, constipation being epidemic, and we are in the middle of energy crisis. There is chronic inflammation. Yeah, this is important जो मैंने last session में बताया था. There is a natural detoxification that happens when you sleep at the right time. Okay, there is a glymphatic system होता है हमारे बॉडी में. Don't confuse yourself. It's just a cleansing mechanism. Okay, जो सेशन के स्टार्ट में कई लोगों ने शेयर किया था, it's a cleansing mechanism. So there is a process that happens in our brain which detoxifies all the कचरा जो उसमें जमा हो जाता है. So there is a lot of cellular debris जो हमने last session में सीखा था. Those who are not present in the last session, do see the recording. मेरे YouTube channel पे है वो. There is something called as debris, कचरा at the cellular level, and that gets cleared during sleep. अब स्लीप नहीं होता तो ये फोटो आप ले लीजिए. दिस इज रीजन इनफ टू शट डाउन योर फोन एट 8. तो इफ यू everybody take a photograph, everybody take a photograph. It's very important. You are more likely to get infection if you don't sleep. insulin resistance, obesity, diabetes, cardiovascular disorders मतलब heart disease, cancer, arthritis, mood disorders, ये सब हो सकता है अगर आप टाइम पे नहीं सोते. टाइम पे इज द इम्पोर्टेंट वर्ड यार. सोना तो जैसे मैंने बताया अभी, आप 3 से लेकर 12 बजे तक सो सकते हैं, कुछ नहीं होगा, नथिंग इज गोइंग टू हैपन. यू आर गोइंग टू सफर ऑल योर लाइफ if you sleep at the wrong time. You are most likely to get any of these during your lifetime. Your probability will go up several times if you don't sleep on time. So what happens when you get sleep? It can help us become better in waking state. This is important. See, I'm just marking this. Can you see at the highlighted part? I'm highlighting in yellow that if you get restorative sleep, the restorative word is important. That when you rest properly during your sleep, it can help us become better in waking state. जो मैंने खुद के लिए बोला, that I feel that my productivity has zoomed. It can help build your immunity. It can help your performance at work. It can help your appearance. Why don't I look my age? Well, then Manish, you and Anshu don't look your age. Big reason is that we are healing from within. Andar hi andar our aging is stopping. So I just celebrated my 40th birthday 3 days ago. And people were like, you don't look like 40, Manish. What's the secret? There is no secret. I'm just following the basic rules of healthy living. And these are certain hormones. ये आपको जानना जरूरी नहीं है. These are certain hormones. अगर फोटो लेना है ले लीजिए. That are secreted. When you there are it's a very complex process. Your brain, it's very complex. काफी सारे hormones, काफी सारे chemicals रिलीज होते हैं कब? जब हम टाइम पे सोते हैं. तो ये सारे हैं. These are happiness hormones. बोलते हैं ना कि why there is so much depression these days? One reason is lack of sleep. So all these are technical terms. Then he talked about dream. There is certain dream state also जो होता है 2 से 4 के बीच में. इसके लिए 6 to 7 hours of sleep is very important. Then this is a very good thing that how can sleep lead to obesity. जो आजकल बच्चों में वजन बढ़ रहा है, खास करके बच्चों की बात हम कर रहे थे. तो स्लीप से क्या क्या होता है? टायर्ड, लैक ऑफ स्लीप से टायर्डनेस होगा. टायर्डनेस से एक्टिविटी कम होगी, उससे मोटापा होगा. अगर स्लीप बराबर नहीं होती है तो लेप्टिन जो हमने सीखा था, वो हम सीखेंगे आगे. व्हाट इज लेप्टिन? ग्रेलिन विच इज अ हंगर हार्मोन. अदर हार्मोन्स, ये सब हार्मोन्स लो हाई हो जाते हैं, जिसकी वजह से हमें भूख ज्यादा लगती है. खाना गलत सिलेक्ट करते हैं बिकॉज वी आर ऑलवेज, बोलते हैं इमोशनल ईटिंग काफी होती है. एनर्जी एक्सपेंडिचर बराबर नहीं, जिससे मोटापा होता है. एंड अगर रात को सोते नहीं है तो हम खाएंगे, रात को लेट खाएंगे. इट्स एन अपॉर्चुनिटी टू ईट. यू इंक्रीज योर एनर्जी डेंस फूड्स विच आर लाइक कैलोरिक डेंस फूड्स ज्यादा खाएंगे तो मोटापा होगा. तो दीज आर सम ऑफ द रीजंस. टायर्डनेस, लो लेप्टिन लेवल्स, हाई ग्रेलिन लेवल्स. स्लीप लॉस की वजह से क्या क्या नुकसान होता है? मोटापा होता है. नाउ वी नो दैट ओबेसिटी इज द नंबर वन रीजन फॉर मोस्ट ऑफ द लाइफस्टाइल डिजीजेस. अगर इफ यू आर ओवरवेट, इट्स अ टिकिंग टाइम बॉम्ब. Bring down your weight. And sleep is a very important part of that puzzle. That hyperarousal state is a very important part. So insomnia can lead to chronic inflammation, जो हमने सीखा. There are few substances that can affect your sleep. उन्होंने alcohol और caffeine बोला था. So try and avoid all forms of caffeine after 4 p.m. So coffee, tea, alcohol, ये सब चीज. alcohol तो खैर it's like क्या बोलूँ मैं, जाने दीजिए. And ये सब avoid करिए. तो चाय कॉफी वगैरह लेना है तो सुबह लीजिए, इट्स बेटर. बेटर यू डोंट स्टार्ट योर डे विद दीज थिंग्स बिकॉज दिस एसिडिक इन नेचर. तो एक छोटा सा विंडो बना लीजिए इफ यू वांट दैट. एक्चुअली यू डोंट नीड दैट, बट इफ यू आर लाइक उसके बिना मैं रह नहीं सकती हूँ, मैं रह नहीं सकता हूँ, have it in a very small window during the mid afternoon or somewhere. But don't start your day and end your day with a coffee or a chocolate or anything. It's not good. Then बोलते नहीं सब जो मिथ्स है कि दूध, गाय का दूध पीने से नींद आती है, कैमोमाइल टी से नींद आती है. इट्स ऑल बुलशिट. ओके, सॉरी टू यूज दैट वर्ड. आई नीड टू स्टॉप यूजिंग दैट वर्ड. But it's all fake. There is nothing in the world, no thing in the world, no food in the world that can make you sleep. These are all marketing gimmicks. Okay, so these products are being sold to you in the name of sleep. कि आप ये चीज खा लो तो आपको स्लीप मिलेगा. Okay, sleeping pills, it's very bad. मतलब it creates havoc in the long run. तो ये जो RX मतलब जो प्रिस्क्रिप्शन मेडिसिन होती है या ओवर द काउंटर स्लीपिंग पिल्स, जो दवाइयां हम लेते हैं, उससे क्या क्या नुकसान होता है? इट्स अ वेरी टेक्निकल थिंग, but it's not good in the long run. If somebody is suffering from any depression, anxiety, temporarily it's fine, but don't get used to sleeping pills also. And ऐसा नहीं कि आज हमें नींद नहीं आती, गोली ले लो नींद आ जाएगी. You need to really work on yourself because it it क्या लिखा था, क्या बोला इन्होंने, देखिए. The regular use of sleeping pills increases the risk. Sorry, it's got deleted. The regular use of sleeping pills causes increase in the risk for cancer more than smoking. Smoking से ज्यादा खराब होता है जो नींद की दवाई हम लेते हैं. And people are like popping these pills like anything. And I don't know why do psychiatrists right straight away they go to sleeping pills. They don't go to the root cause. They don't address the issues that are going on in their life. That there is no outlet for emotions. How do we जो turbulence की बात हो रही थी? How do we bring down the turbulence? And then sleep अपने आप आ जाता है. तो वही है कि सी these are the important points जो आगे cover होने वाले थे. I just covered it quickly so that even if you're not present for the latter part of the session, but I would say now to end the session, start make yourself a priority. Most of us are adults here in their 30s, 40s, 50s. No problem, Poonam. It's finished. It's over now. Yeah, you can leave. Most of us are adults. Write a prescription for yourself. Don't be dependent on me or a doctor or a health coach or a nutritionist. Everybody knows what wrong we are doing in our lives. When I ask this question to my clients, जब ये सवाल मैं उनको करता हूँ, wow, they are like, wow. They have come up with the answers. I should not drink. I should sleep on time. I should have in moderation. I should eat more fruits, more salads. I should not look at devices at night. अपने आप solution आ जाता है. मैं बोला done. What can I do? मुझे भी यही बोलना था आपको. So you know the answers. You know the problems. You know the answers. It's just taking one small step at a time. So अगर आप रात को 2 बजे सोते हैं तो एक साथ आप 9 बजे सोने की कोशिश मत करिए. Bring it down gradually. Consciously उसको नीचे लाइए. Consciously अपने जो artificial light है, the junk light, उसका यूसेज आप थोड़ा सा कम करिए अपने लाइफ में. एंड देन सी हाउ योर हेल्थ ऑटोमेटिकली आपकी हीलिंग होगी और हीलिंग हैपेंस ऑन इट्स ओन. सो कुछ छूट नहीं रहा है. नथिंग इज लेफ्ट. व्हाट इज मेंट फॉर यू विल कम टू यू. जितने दिन आपको जीना है, जितना पैसा आपके जीवन में है, जितना सक्सेस आपके लिए मेंट फॉर यू होने ही वाला है. बहुत ज्यादा मेहनत करने से you maybe you can reach 5% more, 10% more, but you will lose everything in that, which is your own health. And it's not a good bargain to lose your health for that extra bit of money or extra bit of enjoyment or extra bit of socializing. It's not a very healthy bargain. So any questions anybody has or any sharing to do about the session today? So I'm just switching between standing and sitting because long periods of sitting is also not good for us. So I was standing desk with me, desks with me. तो मैंने सेशन स्टार्ट किया था खड़े रहने से, अभी वापस बैठ रहा हूँ. Anybody has to ask anything? Thank you.
Sir, my this thing is